Welcome to Intuitive Alchemy, the space where we turn cosmic and spiritual insight into practical, real-world healing. I'm Sydney, trained intuitive, energetic alchemist, and medical astrologer in training. And on Intuitive Alchemy, I get personal. We don't do surface level here. We go deep. No fluff, just the energetic shifts, raw stories, and grounded practices that actually change your life and activate your personal power. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to Intuitive Alchemy. I have a little update for you guys today. Today's going to be more just me sharing something that I am currently doing on my physical healing journey, which of course I've been sharing with you guys all along the way. And yeah, so I just want to be fully transparent about the things that I'm doing and using and how I'm noticing them help me or not help me. And of course, being that probably definitely my most popular offering is the medical astrology health blueprint reports, where I give so many recommendations for all kinds of different therapies or tools or supplements or whatever, just so many different things. I thought, why not incorporate one of the big things that I have recently started incorporating into my health journey and my life, and they're really taking off, and for very good reason. And so what we're going to talk about today, you already know because you saw the title of the podcast, but we're going to be talking about peptides today. And peptides are like majorly having their moment right now. And like I said, it is for really good reason. And so I'm just kind of going to talk with you about kind of my process with peptides and kind of where I started, like what was my headspace at first towards peptides and what it is now, because it certainly has changed. My perception has greatly changed. And as I've learned more and gotten more educated about what they really are and what they do, and also what they're not too. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so about a month ago, I started taking tirzepatide, which is a peptide. It is a GLP peptide, which everybody knows what a GLP-1 is right now. Like that's, everybody knows about Ozempic and Mounjaro and all of these, Zepbound, all of these like pharmaceutical names that we are familiar with now. It's probably Ozempic being the biggest one, but tirzepatide is a GLP and GIP. So it actually is a dual, like it works with two different receptors, not just the one, the GLP. So I'll get into more what exactly I'm doing with tirzepatide and why. I am microdosing it, which is very important. But the reason why, I guess I'll just take a step back. The reason why I decided to try this was I had listened to a podcast by somebody that I respect, and that she also has at least one autoimmune disorder. I know she has lupus, and I can't remember if there was like Lyme or I feel like there was something else too that was going on with her. And so I heard her kind of, I guess, testimony of her experience with microdosing tirzepatide specifically, and she's also taking several others as well. But it was just kind of like a miracle for her. Like she was like, I've done so many things, but this is the thing that has really like lowered my antibodies and just made me feel so much better. And so I was like, I'm at the point in my healing journey where I have already healed so much. I got off of the thyroid medication on my own without help of, really anything external. I guess you could say supplements or whatever, but I really truly believe that the main way that I was able to get off of my thyroid medication and to get my thyroid like turned back on, get it to flip the on switch and do what it's supposed to do, was really just doing all of the nervous system work that I had been doing and getting out of that frozen state that I was in. Because when you think about it, like if you're in a frozen nervous system state, what's that going to do to your body? It's going to fucking freeze it. You're going to just freeze and go into that hypothyroid state where everything in your body is just like, oh, what do I do? Like, I'm just gonna stop. I'm just not gonna do anything. And so I truly believe that the nervous system work really is what got my thyroid to come back online. And so many things that I've done have helped my progesterone become back at a appropriate level. Of course, I'm still working on balancing that estrogen, lowering that estrogen. But so I've done so much like holistic healing with no help, except for, I guess, the thyroid medication, which now I am off. But so much on my own without really outside help, just lifestyle changes. And I've gotten myself to a point where I'm like, okay, I am so stinking close to where I want to be and to, the vision that I have for how I want to look and how I want to feel and all of that. And so whenever I heard this podcast episode from this person, I was just like, holy shit, like this feels very aligned to me. Now, if I had heard about this, and even knew really what microdosing tirzepatide or semaglutide or any peptide really, if I had heard about this and really understood all of this back in January, whenever I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I really truly don't believe that I was ready at that time to do something like this, because from what I've learned and kind of the opinion that I've formed, which I believe is an educated opinion, is that peptides are not something that you really want to do like first. Like it's not necessarily like your first like method of attack, so to speak. It's certainly not going to be something that you just like slap a band-aid like, oh, my antibodies are crazy, my hormones are incredibly unbalanced, my nervous system is in complete disarray, complete dysregulation. I have a really bad relationship with food, which I never really did. That wasn't my thing. I'm just giving examples. My emotions are all over the place. I am so stressed the fuck out. I don't sleep. Like if all of these things are true, or if multiple of these things are true, slapping a peptide on it is not going to like probably change your life. It might change a couple things. You might lose a little bit of weight. You might, whatever, your insulin sensitivity might improve. You may feel like, oh, I have a little bit more energy, or oh, I have less of an appetite, so I'm not eating as much, I'm not doing as much emotional eating, or my food noise has gone down. Like, yeah, it will probably change some things for you. But in my opinion, and in my experience, and in what I've heard from other people, other women specifically with autoimmune disorders who have started doing microdosing with tirzepatide or semaglutide, is that you kind of are going to have the most success with it whenever you've already done a decent chunk of the work on your own to regulate your nervous system, stop emotional eating, like get really serious about your own self-care and your sleep and your stress levels, and just doing as much of the supplementation and anti-inflammatory eating and all of that as you can, so that you have a much more solid foundation that the peptides can actually come in and like give you the boost that you need, versus trying to like put out 8 different fires. Because peptides, although a lot of people are kind of claiming that they are miracle workers and they're like the miracle drug or whatever, like Not really. You know, like they are great and people are seeing incredible things with them, but really they're not miracles. They can only do what you kind of give them the space to do. And so if you kind of start taking them at your absolute sickest state, you may not see the level of results that someone else would, you know, or maybe you will. Like maybe your body is just going to be like, oh my God, yes, this is what I needed. But I would just say this, I was not ready. For me personally in January, I was not ready to start taking these. And so I'm so glad. I love how my higher self and my soul and God like just didn't even allow me to really like, I of course heard people talking about like, oh, celebrities taking Ozempic, or like, oh, so and so lost a lot of weight, they must be on Ozempic or whatever. Like I heard that kind of like chatter, of course, but I just wrote it off as like, oh, that's just like they're taking a shortcut. Like and they just didn't want to like diet and exercise. They just like took a shortcut. They did Ozempic. They lost 20 pounds in a month, whatever. And I really, now what I've learned about that is an incorrect perception. Like, yes, of course, celebrities probably misuse the drug for like an event or whatever, but like that's not what we're talking about here today. Like, I just want to make that clear. This episode is not about like, oh, I just want to lose 10 or 20 pounds without doing any work and without actually becoming healthier and like changing my habits. Like, that is not what we're talking about here. This is not just about vanity, although how you want to look does matter. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you like assuming that you don't have body dysmorphia or an eating disorder or anything like that. There is nothing wrong with you wanting to like release 10 pounds or 15 pounds or however many pounds. Like there is nothing wrong with wanting to be a leaner, fitter, thinner version of yourself. But we are not talking about using peptides to just like, again, slap a band-aid and say, oh, I'm just going to take this terzepatide or this semaglutide and so I can lose weight without changing anything about my life, because that is not the healthy way to do it. And of course, then if you do that, then at some point, whenever you do stop taking it, if you ever do, then you're just going to go back right to where you were, because nothing in your life actually changed to support your body maintaining the new lower weight that you achieved. So, okay, that's just a little sidebar. So, I wasn't ready in January. I became ready unknowingly by doing all the things, by being on my health journey, by working with a naturopath, by changing things in my life to actually support my birth chart and the actual specific needs that I have, understanding what does it mean that I have Saturn in my first house, that my chart is ruled by Saturn? What does it mean that I have Cancer in my sixth house, that I have Mercury in my sixth house? What does it mean that I have this like a fire sign moon, a Sagittarius fire sign moon? Like, what does all of this mean for my chart specifically? What does it mean that my moon is opposing my Saturn? What does that, what are the implications? What would that mean that I would need to do differently in my life and in my habits and in the way that I eat or in the way that I move my body or in the way that I, whatever. So, or in the way that I regulate my nervous system specifically. So after I had learned all of that, and I mean, I'm still learning. I don't think we ever completely like master our birth charts. I think it's always changing. Like what the information that we need is always evolving depending on how we're evolving. But as I really kind of grasped onto a lot of what I just talked about and started changing my life and started being like, okay, I need this, I need these kinds of foods, I need to regulate like this. It's really important for me, specifically having the moon rule my sixth house, which is the health house. So that means that the moon is my health ruler. It's really important for me to not eat whenever, like during an emotionally tense conversation, or during when I'm really stressed out or whatever, if I'm feeling anxious, it's actually very important that I don't eat during that time, and that I instead do a little bit of regulating, do a little bit of deep breathing, do a prayer, do something that kind of regulates me and grounds me a little bit more, so that I can digest my food, because I can't if my emotions are heightened in a negative way. And that's not the same for everyone, you know. It's incredibly, I am like incredibly sensitive. My digestive system is incredibly sensitive because of that placement. Whereas if somebody has like Virgo in their sixth house, or if they have Capricorn and or Aries or something, like that's not going to be as true for them as it is for me, having the moon rule and having Cancer in my sixth house. So I did a lot of work on just all of that. And then I got to a point where it was like, okay, I've done so much and I'm so close, but my body is just like releasing the excess weight a little bit slower than what I would personally prefer. I feel like I've been working on this for a whole year, and I just know that before I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I could, you know, change my eating, or do a little bit more exercise or whatever for like a week and lose 5 pounds. And I know that what my metabolism used to be, and I know what it could be. And so I was just like, I feel like I just need a little boost, like my system just needs like a little bit of help to just like push it in the right direction. And so again, whenever I listened to the podcast, and I then started looking for other sources, and hearing from really cutting edge modern healthcare practitioners, like what do they have to say about it, what are the risks, what are the benefits, what does it look like for someone specifically with an autoimmune disorder whose only goal is not just weight release. Like, yes, that I did want to release like 15 pounds or so, but that wasn't my only goal. I also just wanted to kind of, I certainly didn't want to lose weight at the expense of my antibodies or at the expense of my autoimmune disorder. Like, I clearly wouldn't want to lose weight, but like feel worse. I only wanted to do it if it was going to help everything. It helped further me toward all of my goals. And so the conclusion that I came to was that it absolutely would really benefit me. And if nothing else, even if I didn't love it, it wouldn't hurt me. And so I decided to start micro dosing, and that part is very, very, very important. I do not advocate personally for taking a full dose of a GLP or a GLP/GIP, aka tirzepatide. I personally, and again, I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice, this is for educational and just sharing my experience and my opinion purposes, but I don't know why someone would take the full dose of a GLP or a GLP/GIP. For one, because of the side effects, because as a lot of us have heard, as soon as like Ozempic came on the market, people are taking it, they're popping it like candy, or I guess you could say like injecting it like candy, and they're like having these extreme digestive issues, and they're extreme nausea, they're throwing up, they're having just stomach pain and digestive distress, and they're having gastric or like what is it called, like heartburn, like where it like acid reflux, that's what I'm trying to say, having a lot of acid reflux, because what GLPs do is they slow gastric emptying. So your food is like sitting in your stomach longer, and it's not moving through as quickly as it would. And so sometimes it can then come back up back up the esophagus. But I really haven't had that experience at all. So it's kind of like the experience that I've had, and the experience that from all the people that I've heard from, is like you really just cut the side effects out. Now, some people still have a little bit of nausea, some people still have some digestive, like maybe they get constipated a little bit, but it's just so much less likely to happen whenever it's at that microdose level versus taking it at the full dose like everyone was doing whenever peptides kind of first came on the scene. Which I do want to say, peptides are not new. Peptides are not a new invention. Like a lot of people are scared of them because they're not FDA approved, which like something being FDA approved gives me like 0% assurance. I don't feel more confident in something because it's FDA approved. And in fact, I kind of feel less confident in something whenever something is FDA approved because, at least in the US, look at all the things that are FDA approved that we now know with actual scientific data is fucking harmful to us. So, I mean, I could name so many things. Like, there are hundreds of chemicals and toxins and ingredients that are completely safe, I'm quotation, safe and allowed and approved to be in our food, our skincare, our products, you know, everything here in the US that are completely banned in Europe and other places in the world because they actually care about their people. So anyway, that's my little soapbox about FDA. So like some people were like scared thinking that this is like a new thing, kind of like, you know, with new vaccinations, like you want to be careful if you even believe in vaccinating at all, but that's a whole nother topic. And so my point is peptides are not new. The way that we are using them therapeutically may be new, but peptides are not something that just invented within the last couple years. And so what are peptides? Peptides are short chains of amino acids. They're basically tiny little protein fragments that act as signaling molecules in your body. So they're basically like little messengers telling your cells what to do. They're little like communicators with your cells. And unlike taking a supplement or like a capsule, a vitamin, something like that, peptides give your body instructions to do certain different things depending on what the peptide is. So they can do different things like heal damaged tissues, reduce inflammation, produce more growth hormone, like human growth hormone. They can regenerate cells, optimize your metabolism. That's what the GLPs do. They can enhance cognitive function. And then there's so many more things. Like there's different ones that can work more with gut healing or just longevity, so many different things. And so this is a really like futuristic kind of medicine. It's regenerative medicine. And me being the Aquarius rising that I am, of course I'm attracted to something that's very like future thinking and preventative and, you know, just like progressive. Like Aquarius are very, very into like technological, cutting edge, new therapies, like biohacking and like what can I do to like get ahead of this and kind of be on the front end of some of these newer treatments versus the later end. And so that's what peptides are. And again, I'm microdosing that. I would never take a full dose of tirzepatide. And I will tell you my personal experience. I mean, like I said, I haven't been on it for like too long. It's been about a month. However, I really have not had downsides necessarily. I will say I probably was a little bit more bloated than usual the first couple of weeks, but I wasn't like in pain. I wasn't having digestive distress. I wasn't having nausea. I wasn't having anything that was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like I just was a little bit bloated and I knew that was normal based on the research that I had done because my body was adjusting to this new thing. And my body is very, very sensitive. And so I know that anytime I start something new, I have a little bit of an adjustment period because my body like responds. It like, there's been rarely, if ever, that I've started doing something new or taking something new and haven't like felt it and known that it was like doing something in my body, whether I liked it or whether I didn't like it. I knew I like felt it. So, yeah, what I've noticed is that it has absolutely decreased my appetite and kind of actually has shown me, kind of inadvertently, that I probably just wasn't stopping eating whenever I got comfortably full. And that's something that I think is really easy to miss whenever you are on a weight release journey. Is like you might be eating the most clean, healthy, organic, beautifully, plated and put together food, but if you're eating too much of it, like you're eating past the point of you being like 80% full, 75% full, it's probably too much for you. Not only too much like calorie wise, but too much for your body to like digest. And then you just feel heavy and weighed down and you're bloated because now the food is sitting there undigested and all of that. And so that was something that I really didn't even realize I was doing necessarily. And now I'm like, oh, now I have literally no problem stopping the moment that I get that I'm like, I'm just not hungry anymore. I'm not really full, but I'm not hungry anymore. And I'm just noticing that it's really enabling me to just put the fork down, put the spoon down, and just be like, I can come back to this later or tomorrow whenever I am hungry, and the food will still be there. And it's no longer this thing of like, oh, but it's just so good, I don't want it to be over. That I just like, because I don't have like any kind of food addiction issues. Like I don't have a negative relationship with food emotionally, but I think it was more of just like listening to my body's cues of like, that's enough now, now you don't, even though it does taste delicious, like your body is full. You do not need to keep eating. You don't even need to eat to the point of true fullness. Just eat until you're not hungry anymore. And that is something that I've noticed I've now been doing completely with ease. And I think that's making a huge difference, not only in just taking in less calories and taking in probably the amount of calories that I need to, but also with my digestion, because now I'm having smaller meals that my body can fully digest before I'm shoveling in more food. And it's not like in a deficit. I feel like before, now looking back, I feel like my digestion was often in kind of a deficit where it's like, it's just always backed up. It's like there's always more that it needed to do. And then by the time it maybe got somewhat close to being done, it was like I was eating again, like it's mealtime again. And so I always felt very often bloated all the time, just feeling like heavy, like feeling like not necessarily constipated, but just feeling like I just wasn't fully emptying. I wasn't fully like soaking up all of my food in the way that my body could be. And then that can also lead to malnourishment, even though you're eating, even though it's not a starvation situation. It's just like your body's not even absorbing all of the nutrients. So that's something I've noticed. I've only had nausea one time, and what I have learned, again, from my experience and from speaking with other people and listening to other people's accounts of their experiences, is that the nausea comes on whenever your body is hungry, whenever you have gone too long without eating. And so in the one time that I felt nauseous, it was a situation of I, ate dinner at a regular time, maybe even a little early, and then probably didn't have like a dessert or a snack or anything, and then went to bed, slept obviously all night, woke up the next morning, and it was like a Saturday, so I like wasn't waking up early. Like I probably woke up around 8:30, and then I just didn't feel like very hungry, and so I wasn't going to eat, and I wasn't even feeling like I wanted coffee, so I just had like maybe a little bit of water and then just nothing. And then I just all of a sudden, like late morning, started getting like really intense nausea and like shakiness, and especially like the shakiness tipped me off of like, okay, it's a blood sugar thing. Like you absolutely do need to have some electrolytes, and you need to eat something, even though obviously you don't want to eat whenever you're nauseous. It's like so hard to eat whenever you're nauseous, but I was just like, okay, I know what this is. Like intellectually, I know exactly what's happening. And so even though the last thing I want to do is choke some food down, I did. And so I just made like a piece of dry toast. I didn't even put butter on it. And I had some electrolytes and I had an apple, and completely better after that. Like it was like it never happened after that. And then I was like regularly hungry throughout the rest of the day. So, yeah, my advice to you is if you are on peptides or if you are going to get on a GLP or a GIP, you definitely want to make sure that you do have at least a little something in the morning for breakfast, even if you're like not feeling hungry. Something that I've started doing to avoid this happening, especially because, oh, I forgot to mention. So I inject on Friday mornings. This was on Saturday morning, so it was the day after I had injected. So, what I have learned since that experience a couple of weeks ago is that now, especially on the morning after I inject, I make sure that as soon as I wake up, pretty much, I get those little, this is funny, like so random, but I get those little like organic applesauce pouches. Like I think they're really just meant for kids, but I love them because I also just am obsessed with apples and like anything apple, I love it. So, and it's just so easy and convenient. I will literally put one like on my nightstand on like a Friday night, and then so Saturday morning when I wake up, I can just have that and just like already get that in my system. And it's obviously carbs, which clearly like would help if you've got low blood sugar from overnight. So that is something. And since I started doing that, absolutely no issues at all, no nausea at all. So that's what I would say about that. I have not experienced the constipation. My digestion has been great. It's been better than ever. And all of the bloating that I was experiencing, like while my body was adjusting to the tirzepatide, is completely over. Like I'm actually waking up in the morning now with like a sunken in abdomen, which is like what it used to be like before I like developed Hashimoto's. While I had Hashimoto's, I was definitely not waking up with like a case of the skinnies. I was waking up still bloated. I was waking up still like I had just eaten a whole meal, even though it had been like, 12 hours since I had eaten anything or however many hours. And now I'm just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm getting back to the version of me, like the healthiest version of me that I was before I had the emotionally traumatic situation that led to me developing Hashimoto's and becoming autoimmune. I am feeling like the version of me who did yoga for like hours every day and was in the best shape of my life and felt the best I had ever felt. I'm starting to feel like that version of me. I'm not quite there, but I am starting to see glimpses of that. And I'm also starting to see big changes in the mirror and in how my clothes are fitting. And just, it makes me like almost emotional to talk about it and to think about it because for definitely all of this year and also last year before I fully knew what was going on with me. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know like what it was because all my fucking blood tests were coming back normal and I kept getting gaslit by all of these doctors. But I just, I would do all of these protocols and restrictive diets and elimination diets and, try to do this, try to do that, try to eat less, try to eat more, like do all the things like, oh, maybe try reverse dieting. Maybe you're just not eating enough and that's why you can't lose weight. Or maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like I tried all the fucking things. I tried just coming at it from like an emotional perspective of like, oh, your body holds on to fat because you're mean to yourself. Okay, I work on that. I'm not mean to myself anymore. Now I still fucking haven't lost weight. So it's like I've tried so many things over the last, almost 2 years and nothing was budging. And it was budging, but it was going up instead of down. And so I can see why, even though it's not a miracle drug, I can see why women who have had similar experiences to me, who have done all the things, like quite literally all of the things, all of the different protocols and diets and life, habit changes that they they hear about, I can see why they get on a peptide, get on a GLP, and then they're like, it's a miracle because it literally just like gives your body the boost it needs. It's like, I kind of like visually in my mind, I think of it as like whenever you're jumping a car, like jumper cables, like a car won't start, and then another car comes up and they're like, here, let me give you a jump. And they jump your car, and then the car starts, like the engine is now running. That to me is like the perfect analogy for what GLPs can do for you, especially again at the microdose level, because then it's not putting too much of a shock on your body. It's not, you don't need to lose 30 fucking pounds in a month. Like, I know we're impatient. I know we love instant gratification. I know we want to be like at our goal weight within 4 weeks or whatever. Like, I get it. Trust me, I do. But that is not good for you. You don't need to put your body into shock. You don't need to dysregulate your nervous system like that. Slower and steadier is better in this instance. And again, I am not a doctor, but I am just speaking. Like, if you're listening to this, you have consented to hearing my opinion. So there it is. I will not make you guess what it is. I will tell you outright, that is what it is. So I can see why it's being called the miracle drug, because it's like, here, let me just give your system a jump. Like, you've spent so much time having either not enough hormones or too much hormones or whatever the case is. Maybe you in your case you were in a freeze state like me, so then your body and your endocrine system just goes into hypo, like we're not producing enough, everything becomes sluggish, your lymph is now also not draining the way it should, your lymphatic system is all plugged up and congested, and you're holding it now that the lymphatic system isn't doing what it should, now you're holding in toxins, which guess what, holding in extra toxins in your body further perpetuates autoimmune, because now you've got maybe heavy metals, maybe you've got a virus, maybe you've got parasites, maybe you've got something that your body is not draining, and it's not filtering out and cleansing and detoxing the way that it should. And so it's just fucking perpetuating all of these other issues. And so whenever you've dealt with something like that for so long, it can take a minute to get your body, even in my case, when my thyroid, like, yes, now it is doing what it should, it is producing the level of T3 and T4 that it should, but it just was like taking an extra minute for like the rest of the things to kick online, and for my metabolism to like be like, oh, okay, actually now we can just get back to how we should be doing this and how we used to do this. And so I truly believe that the GLP, that the tirzepatide is allowing it to just be like, okay, here's a little jump start. Let's just ignite this fire again. And so I am very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for all of the information and all the transparency from a lot of people, even within the spiritual community. I'm just really grateful that they have been, I guess, brave, because in some cases people still, peptides can still be kind of a polarizing topic, and people have a lot of strong opinions, and I used to as well. And so I'm really glad that so many people are being honest and telling what they're doing and how it's working for them and how they're doing it and all of that, because at the end of the day, we usually hear about things from people sharing their experiences with it. And so that's why I wanted to be transparent as well and share, like, this is what I'm doing, this is my experience. But I did want to be really clear about the fact that this was not my first method of treatment. This was not the first thing that I went to. I did a lot of things prior that I truly believe laid the strong foundation for the peptides to really do what they're meant to do, and for me to see success even in just a month, for me to literally release 10 pounds in just 1 month. And so now I'm closer than ever to my goal. I've got a few more pounds that I would like to release, but even if I stopped right here, I would still be happy and miles ahead of where I was a few months ago. So I mentioned like how my opinion has changed. Like, I will be so honest with you, when I first heard about peptides and of course like Ozempic and all of that, like I really truly believed like that is kind of lazy and it's the easy way out and it is for people who just don't have strong willpower. Like I hate saying that now, but like I just, to keep it real with you guys, that is what I believed. I really kind of had a negative opinion. I thought, oh, you just don't want to do the work. You would rather inject yourself and be nauseous and be sick than actually just eat healthy and move your body, which now I understand, of course, that sometimes you can do all those things and still not release the weight because something isn't quite right. Like something's not firing the way that it should in your body. And, you know, who knows? Maybe that's why I had to have this experience, is for my higher self to like teach me a lesson, not to be so fucking judgmental, because not to like have opinions about things that you don't understand or that you haven't had that experience yourself, because now I understand. I have been humbled, and now I understand why a GLP is also just not a shortcut. Because also, I mean, I can't say this from experience, but like I would just assume that if you do start taking a GLP, whether it's semaglutide or whether it's tirzepatide, let's just say you start taking one of the two, and you again don't change anything about your lifestyle, you just eat like shit, you're eating a ton, you're not changing anything about your life to support the success of the peptide in your body, I would assume that you're probably not going to see that much result. Like you might still lose a little bit of weight, I don't know, but I have known people who, well, I have a relative who did, I don't know which GLP she did, but she did one of them, and again didn't change anything, didn't change her eating habits, didn't change how much fast food, the portions, didn't change any of that. And it didn't, I mean, I don't even know if she lost 20 pounds. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point, I feel, but it is not just a band-aid. It is something that you want to pair with healthy lifestyle habits. And something that I haven't mentioned yet, which is very, very talked about online or wherever you see people talking about GLP, you're going to see people talking about protein. And that is true. You definitely want to make sure you're getting protein at least 1 gram per pound of your goal weight. You want to make sure that you're getting that every day. And I will be so honest with you guys, that is hard for me personally. It is hard for me because I just am not someone who wants to eat like meat at every single meal. I just don't. I was actually plant-based for a few years and I fucking thrived. Like I loved it. I had no issue not having meat, and now I do eat meat a lot more than I obviously used to, but I still don't want it I don't want it 3 times a day. Like God, no, I don't want meat 3 times a day. And especially like not in the morning. I want like some fruit in the morning. I don't want something heavy. And but it is really, really important whenever you are on a GLP to eat adequate protein, because you want to make sure that you're keeping your muscle and not losing your muscle, because you absolutely can lose weight but not necessarily lose a lot of fat. You could lose your muscle and keep your fat, and obviously that's not what you want, because not only is that not going to give you kind of the body aesthetic that you're probably desiring, but it's also going to really severely damage your metabolism to the point where then once you stop taking the GLP, you are going to have a much slower metabolism, because muscle burns more calories just even at rest than obviously fat does. And so if you lose your muscle and you still have a good amount, like a pretty decent amount of fat on your body, and then you stop taking the GLP, now your metabolism is really slow. And now your body composition is completely different. Even if technically you weigh what you want to weigh, you probably don't look how you want to look, and your body is not functioning the way that it should. Your metabolism is now way slower, and now you don't have the GLP in your system to kind of like counteract that once you stop taking it. So Really important to take protein. This is also a reminder for me to do better. If you do need to supplement with like a protein powder, like obviously the majority of your protein you want to be getting from a food source. It's just better that way. It's more bioavailable that way. But if you do need to supplement with like a protein powder, some bone broth, which bone broth is not a complete protein on its own, but at least it's collagen. Like it at least it's something. It's better than nothing. It's not a complete protein, but it's better than nothing. And it's also really amazing for your gut too. But what I kind of do is whenever I know that I'm like way under the amount of protein that I need to eat per day, I'll have like a mug of warm bone broth with like a tablespoon of ghee in it or something, or like a protein smoothie with some vegan protein, or you know, whatever kind of protein you like. I personally prefer plant-based protein, but stuff like that, like, you know, a Chomp's beef stick, get 10 grams of protein in that way. A cup or a half a cup of cottage cheese, get like 15 or 20 grams of protein there. Just, you know, trying to figure out like little ways that you can get a decent amount of protein without having to eat like a chicken breast or something, because that's just not always realistic. And it's also just not always what we want. It's certainly not always what I want. So, okay, that's my experience. I will continue to update you the longer that I'm on it. I don't plan on being on it for like too long, because also part of what I'm working at here is to prepare my body for pregnancy in the future. And so obviously you cannot be on a GLP whenever you're pregnant or whenever you're trying to conceive. So that's something that's in the future for me, if all goes as intended. And so I'm really just trying to get my body to the healthiest place that I possibly can to be able to hold, you know, grow a life inside of me and to feel my best, to look my best, all of those things. So I will not be on this forever, but I'm sure I'll take it again, like after pregnancy. But also, so there's other peptides that I haven't even talked about. I've mainly just been talking about the GLPs because that is what I'm currently on. There are a lot of other peptides that people are taking and seeing amazing progress with, like NAD, which is amazing for longevity. Another really popular one is BPC 157, and that is incredible for gut healing. It quite literally heals your gut lining and reduces inflammation in your body, just like systemic inflammation, which of course, if you're chronically ill, you've got inflammation in your body. So that's another great one. There's a copper peptide that you can take. There is tesamorelin, which is great for hormone balance, again, reducing, inflammation and also fat metabolism. So there are multiple others that you can take without even being on a GLP. Like, not everyone needs a GLP. If you don't need to release weight, and if you don't need to improve your metabolic health or your insulin sensitivity, then a GLP may not be the best one for you. Maybe something else would be really great in optimizing your health. And so there are plenty to choose from. A lot of them are offered injectable or oral. If you are like, there's just no way I can stick a needle in myself. For me, I actually love it. I think it's so easy, and I wish I could inject all of my supplements at this point. Like, I swallow a lot of supplements every single day, and I truly wish I could just be like, boop, just gonna inject this in one fell swoop and now I'm done. Like, I wish. But alas, that's not where we're at. So I think it's super easy. But anyway, so yeah, there's a couple others that I am really, really curious to incorporate into my routine. However, because I know how sensitive my body is, I really wanted to give my body some time to adjust to what I am taking, the tirzepatide, and not further complicating it by adding anything new that my body would then have to have another adjustment period with. I kind of right now just am liking feeling good and not wanting to overdo it, because my personality is such that I would like to just do all the things, and I'm kind of an all or nothing person, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's not so good. But in this case, I am just trying to be really wise about it and not overload my body, my system, my liver, my pathways, and my nervous system most of all. And I just really want to get to a really balanced place before I introduce any other peptides. So, yeah, that's been my experience with it. Like I said, I'll keep updating you guys with what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. And, but something that I did create for you, for me and for you, is I created a new freebie, a new free guide about the connection between the different like planets and placements in astrology and the different peptides, at least some of the different peptides. There's hundreds, but I'm just talking about like the more popular ones that people are taking therapeutically now. And so it's really just your guide, your astrological guide to peptide therapy. And that is free. Like I said, it is available now in the link in the show notes. And also, of course, the link of my Instagram. I think it's like 20 pages of just talking about like what first I talk about the planets and what they govern in your body, such as like Mercury governs the nervous system, Venus is the thyroid gland and the hormones, estrogen, progesterone, Mars is the muscles, inflammation, blood, energy, immune response. So I'm going through and kind of teaching just like a little crash course on like bullet points on those. And then I talk about the most important houses in medical astrology, which are the 1st, the 6th, the 8th, and the 12th. And I then talk about all of the different signs and the body parts that they rule. And then I'm going through different peptides like NAD, B12, GLP, BPC 157, like I mentioned, and Cimarelin, like so many different ones that people are taking. And I'm just talking about like what in your chart, what deficit might you have, or what vulnerability or pattern might you have in your chart that would correlate with something that this peptide could do for you, could boost for you, or could lower for you, depending on what the need is. And so it can just help you get even more nitty gritty on what protocol you might choose if you are someone who is curious about peptides, or maybe you already are on peptides and you're like, I don't know if I'm taking the right ones. I don't know if I'm like really taking advantage of this in the best possible way, or aligning my peptide stack in the best possible way. And so that's my intention with this, is just if you're peptide curious to learn a little bit, or if you're already on the journey and you're like, I wonder if there's another one that might be more effective for me, or I wonder if, I just wonder. So I created this for you, and it is free. Yeah. And then another thing that I'm also now offering is I'm offering optionally, if you want, if you do sign up for a health blueprint reading with me, then you can let me know in your little intake form that you fill out at the time of purchase. You can let me know if you want possible peptide recommendations. Now, you may not be a match for peptides, and that may be what I tell you, depending on, what's going on with you and what the rest of your chart says. Like, I'm certainly not just going to tell everyone that they need a peptide if they fucking don't. Like, I am definitely staying within integrity, and I would never tell people to do something that they don't, that would hurt them or harm them. But that's an option, is getting kind of that astro peptide guidance. And you also, I am an Ellie MD brand partner now, because I just believe in it so much. And another thing with peptides is they have become so big, like they're having their moment. And so a lot of these like random companies are popping up with not high quality peptides. Like they're not concentrated. They're maybe even not pure. Like they might be mixed with something else to where you think you're getting something, but it's not actually what you're getting. And there's a lot of quality issues that people are talking about popping up just because of the popularity. Everyone's wanting to jump in on, the profitability of peptides. And I get it, but it just sucks that we can't always trust all of these new companies that are popping up and promising all of these low priced peptides when, peptides they're not cheap. And because if you're getting them from a reputable source, they are pure and they are therapeutic. It's not like you're just taking watered down, whatever. So LEMD is a very, very reputable and trusted source. And whenever you do order through them, you also get like a teledoc consultation, and you actually, like, it's not like you're just ordering peptides on Amazon. Like you're not being your own doctor. Like, yeah, you might go in being like, okay, I want to take this, or I was recommended to take this. I got a health blueprint reading and Sydney told me that this might help me. And so you can go in, saying I would like this or I want this, but then the doctor ultimately is going to be the one that says like, this is okay for you, or this is probably not the best for you for this and this reason. So that's another thing I love about it. And it's really pure, it's high quality, and it is reputable. You can trust what you get from them, and I truly believe that. And so I am now a brand partner. So I'm just expanding my offerings in the health realm as it relates to medical astrology. And I really, really, really am so passionate about not just telling you like, okay, these are the things to do, but like helping give you the resources to do that. Here's the tools to do that. Here's the actual, like, if you've gotten a health blueprint reading from me, in a lot of my readings, like I'm literally going and manually linking recommendations for you. Now, I haven't done that on every single chart because as I've gotten busier, like that's just not always something I have the time to do, because I want to get you back your report within the 3 days that I promise. But in a lot of them, I have literally gone through like linking different books, linking different supplements, linking different practitioners that might benefit you, or linking, so many different, like the workout witch, like linking so many different things, literally individually. And so this to me is just like another version of that, of like, okay, this peptide may help greatly speed up your healing, or greatly speed up your weight release, or your whatever your goal is, your metabolic health, your longevity, like whatever, your gut healing, this can greatly speed it up. And so here is the link to order it right here. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to do all this research and this hard work and try to find who's legit and who's not. Like, I've done that for you. And so I'm just really excited for this to be a part of my new offering. And so that is an option now. If you do book a blueprint reading with me, you can let me know I added a question in there so that you can say yes or no if you want peptide recommendations, and it's totally up to you. And also, there may be a free little gift for you inside of the new peptide guide. So if you download that, hint, hint, wink, wink, there may be a little discount for you if you want to book a medical astrology health blueprint reading. So if I were you, I would probably go download that if you were interested in booking a reading with me, because already the reading is on sale. Like, it's been on sale from $222 to $111, and you can stack this little discount on top of that. So this will not be offered at that low of a price any other time or any other way. And so yeah, you might, whenever you sign up to get this free guide, the peptide guide, pay extra close attention to the email that you receive that contains the guide, because that is where the freebie information, or not the freebie, that's where the discount promo code information is. It's in the confirmation email that delivers you the guide. So, all right. I do feel like this episode was a little bit rambly. I'm just sharing my experience and my thoughts and all of that with you. And so if you have any questions, or if there's anything I kind of skipped over, please let me know. I would love to talk about it again. I really want to be transparent about this, and I really want to help destigmatize GLPs. Like, I really want to help bust the myth that it's just like someone being lazy or taking the easy way out by doing a GLP. And also, what's wrong with, like, that's something I'm kind of also reframing for myself, is like, what is it with this belief that it has to be hard? Like, why would I be upset at someone for seeing a solution, seeing something, a resource that could make something a lot easier and laborious? Why would I have an issue or some kind of negative feeling about that? Like, why would we not take advantage of this cutting edge technology that we now have access to? What is wrong with that? Why does it have to be hard? That's just a version of a limiting belief that I think a lot of us have or have had, and that now we can change. So I'm certainly changing it. I'm like, why would we not? Like, that's part of the benefit of being alive in this time. There's a lot of downsides to being alive in this time as well, but like, that's one of the benefits. Why would we not take advantage of that? So anyway, okay, that's my update. Go book an astrology health blueprint reading with me if you're interested in that. Download the peptide guide if you are interested in that, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.
If this episode sparked something in you, share it with a friend who needs it. Take a screenshot, post it to your Instagram story, and tag me at Intuitively Sydney. That's SIDNEY. I would love, love, love to see who's tuning in so I can connect with you and celebrate you. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next Tuesday.